Hey Matt, this is Adrian Gomez. I apologize for not getting that to you sooner. And I'm trying to how far this video is. It's about down to 116 before he starts driving his back leg, which is good. I think he could drive a little bit further down. I'd like it to be below 110 degrees. He is squatting more with his glutes and not with his quads, which is good as far as squat goes. His head, what I'd like to see is having his head behind that rubber a little bit longer. It's what we call a stack. His stacking could improve, and that's going to help him get a little bit lower. He also has a spine that's going down in front of his body, and then you'll see his body come back. So there is a shift in posture. But anyway, going back to the back leg, 116 degrees. I think he could squat a little bit better. Let's look into his front leg at plant leg. It's hard to see a little bit, but I can see it. What I want to show you is that his knee shifts from internally rotated. Let's see if we can see it here. And what it does is his back hip doesn't rotate until his knee gets over his ankle. So that's what we call an internally rotated front knee. So I definitely think he has that issue. And going into his back leg, this is something, or his front leg to the point, same point, is 112 degrees. I'd like to see that at 150, 145, somewhere in there. And so what happens is he's driving into that leg, and all of the energy is going into that front leg and out into the ground and not into the baseball. What I'd like to see is his body transfer that energy from his knee, retract that knee and brace a little bit better, and the energy is going to kind of come out his torso and out into the ball a little bit better. So that's definitely something that would bring his velocity up anywhere from 3 to 4 miles an hour when done right and getting it in the right position. So the front leg is definitely something. As far as his flexibility, he does have great flexibility. 133 degrees at plant foot. I played with a guy named Tim Lincecum, and he had about 133 degrees extension with his hips. So that's fabulous. I think there's huge upside there with his back leg. His back leg stays connected to the ground. There is a little movement back where his knee's coming back. I'd like, and that happens to many youth players. I'd like to see it lengthen out and let his hips rotate as opposed to pulling in. And if he can do that, his hips are going to be quicker. But I think he has to come in based off of that front leg. And he comes back a little bit better. Let's measure this one more time. 127. So it goes from 112 to 127. I like to plant at maybe 127 and retract back to 135, 100, somewhere in there. So those angles might help you, and this is called coach's eye. It might help you a little bit to measure those angles. So that's a lower body. As far as posture goes, at release point, I'd like to say he's a B posture. This would be an A posture. This would be he's close to a C. And so what that means is he's really falling from here, from this position, all the way to here. And that's quite a bit of an axis change. And so his spine will determine how his body rotates. So if he's shifting his spine from all the way in front of his body to all the way on the left side of his hips, that's a lot for him to do. And so what I'd like to see him do is I'd like to see him stand up a little bit taller, somewhere in there, to minimize that spine. And if he went from there to here, that'd be a lot different. Part of it's going to be, you can see how he's going forward already. I like to see his upper body delay and stay behind. That's going to help his spine stay back and be ready to just drive through once that front leg hits. So posture, I think that could improve at the start, both with the stacking, his upper body staying back. That's going to be huge. Let's look at the front glove. So he goes from bent to straight to bent. And this happens a lot with players. I think he could get a better handle on his shoulders, pinching his shoulders. Arms are straight out. Every time an arm is straight out, it's got to come back into bend. So when I go from straight to bent to straight, or bent to straight to bent, there's just a lot of wasted energy there. He could be doing a lot better and a lot more efficiently. His arm is almost straight out as he's planning his front leg, and I'd like to be just a little bit tighter in here. So I'd like to see him, pinch a little bit tighter to his shoulder, and that's going to help him rotate a little bit better. Not to mention the spine change, just getting that axis right. So front glove's definitely an issue. Let's look at his chest extension's probably really fabulous, just because his front knee is so low, so it has to be. 47, which is great. High 40s is what we want. It's probably going to go even further. That back leg, and I'll show you what this looks like. That back leg needs to stabilize back here. You can see where that foot goes, but that knee comes in. When that knee comes in, you lose stability. So that front leg is going to be something really important to fix, and that'll help a ton. All right, next thing, I don't know if I have the visibility of this. I think it's a little bit elevated, but like I said, it's hard for me to see. I think his elbow's a little bit elevated. It's a little bit grainy, the video, but let's look at elbows right at that shoulder level, and look as he drives through, his elbow comes up. If that front knee can come back, that chest can drive through a little bit better. I think he's going to have a better chance of keeping that elbow on plane and rotating together. But I think that posture change really affects the high elbow as well. So that's something to look at. He does have a, in the smart words of the doctors, an elevated distal humerus, which means a high elbow. That puts a lot of stress on the shoulder and elbow. If we can reduce that and help him rotate a little bit more continuously and more connected, I think he's going to have a better chance of throwing the ball more efficiently and feeling a lot better too. But definitely his front knee is one of his biggest issues. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the arm fly out. He does have an arm fly out. His elbow goes outside of that wrist. So I want to minimize that a little bit, just making him a little bit faster. A little bit faster with his arm or with his hand speed. I think a lot of that has a huge role in the front knee. That's gonna be a huge thing. So I apologize for not getting this into you as quickly as I had wanted, and I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.